Peace, 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 peace. Welcome to GoGoGadget Green on Facebook. Welcome to the Green of Thrones, NYC Sports. I'm your host, Go Green. This is the Fan Post Episode 3. The Fan Post Episode 3. If you've never seen Episode 1 or 2, what we do on the Fan Post is I am all over social media. I read all types of articles, and in addition to what the writers have to say in their opinions, I look at the opinions of the fans. Some people have really great things to say. Some people are way out there, but all in all, have a lot of fun with it. And I just decided to turn it into a show. So I am in on Facebook. I'm in about 33 Nick groups. That number will grow, but 33 seemed like a nice number to start off with. Maybe for my first 33 shows, I'll stay on 33 and then we'll let the number grow. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I'm in a bunch of Knicks groups, and I like to read what the fans post. Sometimes I post things, and then the comments that come after, you get a lot of interesting dialogue, a lot of back and forth, a lot of feedback, not just people in their feelings and people that are way out there, but you get people that really have some intelligent things to say, considering that they don't work for the NBA, they don't work for any major news media networks or anything like that. So, I mean, I'm a big fan. Anybody that knows me personally knows I'm a big fan, and we talk about it on our downtime. So I said, hey, you know what? Let's hit record and make it live. So on the fan posts, I have some groups. What I've started to do differently now, what I've started to do differently now on the fan posts is I've gone into the groups now and let them know that posts from their group will be featured this week. So as we go through some of these, some of them are very random. Nobody's giving me much feedback, good or bad, what type of post they would like to see or post they would like to talk about. So, you know, as I say all the time, leave your comments, leave your critiques, and anything that we can do to make this more fun for everyone. That's cool. If not, I'm going to just hit record and run my mouth. So it has some interesting ones this week. Obviously, is a lot of, and the fan post is not just Knicks related. We can do Giants, we can do Yankees, we can do Rangers, as long as I have some help, because I'm not as good in some of those other sports. But Knicks and Giants could definitely hold it down, and I think I could do a little something with the Yankees. And my man Pachanga comes through. We could do some Mets too. So a lot of trades, a lot of things going on. To my YouTube people, join my group on Facebook, The Green of Thrones, NYC Sports. Facebook group, The Green of Thrones, NYC Sports. To my live stream people, join GoGoGadget Green. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, GoGoGadget Green. And I am your host, Go Green. So let's start the show. Let's get right to it. So on Facebook, all my posts today are coming from Facebook. Everything is from Facebook today. There's a group called the Knicks Click. That's the Knicks Click, all caps. Can y'all see that? Knicks Click, all caps. Yeah. So, exclamation point. So Jordan Roman says, people used to complain about Frank and not getting Dennis Smith. We have both now. There's no need to talk shit anymore. If he gets traded, he gets traded. But there's literally no need to talk anymore. Frank was never a point guard anyway. He needs to be groomed as a 3-and-D shooting guard. That's where his development needs to go. Fans talk shit more about their own players than other people from other teams do. It's unnecessary and a bunch of bad energy. Frank fan or not. All right. I'm going to actually say, let's get to what I agree with here. I agree 100% that Frank Ntilikina should be groomed as a 3-and-D player. Work on the three-pointer, get better at defense. That'll be his niche. I agree with that. To say he was never a point guard, well, it's the position he played on a professional team in France. So, you know, I don't want to say he's not a point guard in the NBA, but he was clearly a point guard in France. I mean, he was the backup on a team that went to the championship. As far as talking shit or talking about players on your team, I think fans get a little too emotional with the critique of players. Some do it over the top with their accolades for the players, and then some do it where they like abuse the player, like bash them unnecessarily. But let me say this. When you watch the sport, no matter what level a player is, these players are getting rated in junior high school if they're good enough. High school especially. So they're being critiqued and pulled on and grabbed every which way and assessed and analyzed all their lives. So us as fans, to kind of say we don't get to do it because they're on our team or because they're still young, I think that's unfair. You know, some colleges go and scout players and they don't think the player's good enough. They don't want to recruit that player for their program. And you know why? Because they're sitting in a meeting going, he's not ready. He's not good enough. You know what I mean? So I think that you get to assess the players on your team, and you are more likely, as far as doing it more than people that are not on that team, that are not fans of your team. Of course you're going to assess the players on your team more than the rest of the world is doing. You see the players on your team play the most. I watch all basketball, but I watch the Knicks more than anything because I'm a fan of the Knicks. So, of course, I'm going to have more critique, more analysis, more opinion on the New York Knicks. So, I don't think it's about being a Frank fan or not. I get it. People talk a lot. But let's get to the nitty gritty. Why are people talking? Why are people being negative about Frank? I think that's what you got to look at. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, you like, okay. Reg says that Frank, we don't need Frank, never did. A waste of a draft pick. Bad experiment. I would say that's a bad experiment. I'll say that's fair. Definitely a bad experiment. And right, that's what being a fan is in all honesty. That's what I'm saying. You can't take that from a fan. You can't take the ability to talk crap about your players, because if we sat there and said, when you just say give Frank time, give Frank time, give Frank time, that time at some point will run out. Some people's time limit is not as much as ours, as much as others. Me in particular, I prefer to give their rookie year, I critique them, but it's not like I'm making a final judgment. I won't call a player a bust or a bum during their rookie season. I can critique them, but I won't call them a bust. Where they go into year 2 is where I start to get a little more critical, because now I'm looking at how 1 year of NBA experience has impacted your game. Some people go through a sophomore slump, but a person that goes through a sophomore slump may have had a decent rookie season. When you didn't have a decent rookie season and then your second season looks worse, yeah, there's other things around you that are happening that are different. But like coaching changes, front office changes, those things impact the player. But I would say this coaching staff is player friendly when it comes to the younger guys on the team. So if you are still struggling in a more player friendly environment that is focused on the development of you and other younger players, yeah, I think you get to people gonna talk shit. When we get on the basketball court out here, you tell your man he trash, he a bum, and we ain't even getting paid for it. Thorough, what's good, brother? Okay, what else we got here? Indy says, I told y'all he wasn't a point guard. He is more of a 2, but NBA don't fall for those tricky dicky crosses and head fakes. His b-ball IQ is limited. His bread and butter was his hands and defense. And you know what? I agree with that. And the interesting thing when you talk about his defense to me is very average. He gets after it. You can see the effort in the defense. But I think that we've overstated his impact on the defensive end of the court. I think he has all the physical tools to be an elite defender, but you know, I don't think he's a good defender. But you're right, that was his claim to fame. Red says he can't shoot or score well enough to justify his draft position. And you know what? Now, when you talk about justifying his draft position, because I agree with that. When you talk about justifying his draft position, that's on the Knicks, right? The player has no control over of where he's drafted. So if we make that point, we have to be fair, and that's on the Knicks. You know, to me, he looks like a second-round pick at best. And had he been drafted in the second round, we wouldn't even be having these same conversations. Or we would, but it wouldn't be so intense because it would be like he's a second pick. You know, if Damian Dotson was drafted 8th in the draft, you'd be like, yo, this dude is not. This ain't, he ain't it. Reg says you have more of an impact to your team in order to be justified as a lottery pick. You have to be more of an impact to your team. Right. You have to be more of an impact to your team to be justified as a lottery pick. I agree 100%. So, but that's on the Knicks, right? That's not on Frank. Thorough, peace. Shout out to my man Thorough. Any of y'all that been with me before, you know I like to bring up Thorough because Thorough's a Mavs fan and he's a regular with us. He's been very helpful in my Dennis Smith Jr. transition and getting the inside from a knowledgeable fan, so I appreciate Thorough for that. Thorough says, peace, Dennis Smith Jr. is still Dallas' finest. I hear you. I'll let you get that. So let's get to the next fan post. So that was the Knicks Click. That was Jordan Roman from the Knicks Click. Shout out to the Knicks Click because I want to make sure I shout out the groups that I grabbed these posts from. So shout out to the Knicks Click. Clearly, I'm combing through your group. Hold on one second. Someone's knocking on my door. Thank you.
You almost didn't get them because you got one elevator.
Thank you. Okay. I didn't mail people deliver on Sundays. That's what's up. All right, let's get back to it. Next post. So KD was in the news this week. He took exception to the media's portrayal of his status or soon to be free agent status. And, you know, whether you agree or don't agree, it made national media, of course. It's the Warriors. It's Kevin Durant. It's probably the best player in the NBA right now. Arguable, but, you know, if you're going to say he's second best, I'm not going to argue that. Right now, this season, KD, it'd be hard to argue that he's not the best player in the NBA. But anyway, so we're still in the Knicks Click. So this is the Knicks Click group on Facebook. And I encourage all my YouTube channel subscribers and all my Green of Thrones live streamers. I definitely encourage you to go and subscribe to these groups and become a member and interact and get the information and you know, just make it happen. I want to give them shout outs and show love. So this is the Knicks Click again. Flo Montana from the Knicks Click says, in regards to KD stating what he said to the media, he said, I hate this guy so much. He is super soft. Lucky he's talented, but he's soft. I don't know if he's built for New York. Okay, so I'm going to say this now. I've had issue in the past with KD's media, how he deals with the media. But I think in the end, I don't think I really care. As far as he's saying he's soft because of how he deals with the media, I don't know how those relate. I don't know how that makes you soft. He's talking to them how he wants to talk to them. He's speaking his mind. So I don't know if soft was the right word. Sensitive might be a better word to use. I don't think soft and sensitive mean the same thing. You know, It's hard for me to call a two-time Finals MVP soft. The heart to take some of the shots, the audacity to take some of the shots he's taken during the finals, and make them. The audacity to come to a team with two Hall of Famers and an all-defensive player on it, and a coach that is extremely popular as an NBA player, and now probably going to end up being a Hall of Fame coach when it's all said and done, to come to that team and basically make it be known I'm the best player on this team. That's not soft to me. As far as not knowing if he's built for New York or not, well, Patrick Ewing didn't really deal with the New York media. Patrick Ewing didn't deal with the media from college. And the Knicks control the narrative on the media as well. The Knicks are a lot more aggressive with the media. The Knicks have a newspaper that they don't even allow. I believe it's Frank Isola in the Daily News. I don't even think the Knicks allow them into the facility. So to say KD is not built for New York, I think you got to look at, in regards to the media, I don't buy it. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Not the most clutch dude in the NBA right now. I don't buy it. Especially coming to a team that controls the narrative with the media. The Knicks people are OD ridiculous. So if KD really is as sensitive as as this post is saying, then the Knicks are the ideal situation for him. Then the Knicks would be the ideal situation for him, because the Knicks are going to protect him in that regard. So even more of a reason for him to come here, right? Camera's bugging out again, excuse me. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna just leave that alone. What do y'all think? Let's see what we got down here. Who's talking about it? Reg says that the entire NBA is soft. I don't understand that one. Okay, I guess that's another way to look at it. Let's see. Reg says, Indy, I'm going to get back to your comment. Reg says the younger generation is much more sensitive than we ever was, so I disagree with him on that statement. Well, that's another way to look at it as well. That's a good point, Reg. That's another way to look at it as well, because the attitude and personality of the NBA player in the era we grew up in is very different from today. So once again, I don't know if soft is the word, but it's definitely different, and there's more of a sensitivity to how they're perceived. And you know what? Maybe rightfully so. Maybe rightfully so, just because of social media. The players back in the days didn't have to deal with social media. They didn't have to read, 2.5 million opinions on who they are, what their children look like, what their wife does. They didn't deal with that. So the new player kind of goes with the current times in that regard. He has a lot much more to be defensive about. You could say, back in the days, all you had to do was not read the newspaper. So if you ignored the reporter and didn't read the newspaper, you were fine. Unless your coach or someone brought it into your locker room. Nowadays, you can't walk around without getting a notification. I mean, these players are getting the same notifications. They're on the same Twitter feeds that all of us are on. They're way more accessible today. So I think that goes with the territory. Let's see. Before we move on. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. They dealing with a lot. So before we move to the next fan post, Indy says Dennis Smith Jr. can lock up the point guard in New York. We can dead Kyrie or Kemba. Now I see Reg. Reg says never. Dennis will move to the 2. He's not a better point guard than either. Indy says KD is learning no matter what. He is the best player or not. He can't control the narrative. LeBron took all this and more and got to grow up too, though. I don't mind him calling out bad reporting and made up stories for clickbaits or ratings. Yo, all right, I'm glad you brought that up, Indy. Durant also made a point that the reporter that he was calling out has fabricated something. I've heard the reporter speak and publicly say that KD, that it's not true and he's making a bigger thing of it than it is. So, who's to say who's right or wrong there? Everybody's going to use their platforms to make their points. As far as, controlling the narrative, whether KD has to learn it or not, he has the right to say that, and I think we agree on that point. With regard to the Dennis, Thorough says Dennis Smith struggles off the ball. So I'm gonna summarize it real quick and then we'll talk about it. So Indy basically says if, he thinks we have our point guard. So if we go for max free agents in the summer, we don't have to go after a point guard. Reg says, no, Dennis Smith will move to the 2 and we can get either one of the top point guards available this summer, meaning Kemba or Kyrie Irving. And then Thorough brought up that Dennis struggles off the ball. He has to play point. So I am so glad y'all brought this up. I may be getting a little ahead of myself here because I may have a post or two later that kind of deals with this. So we'll see how I navigate it and see how it flows. But for the sake of the points you guys brought up, I've been having this conversation with some friends, random people. And I'm going to tell you, if Dennis Smith Jr., if Kyrie Irving wants New York, you have to get Kyrie Irving. Now, this is how I felt before the knee injury last night. I have said all along that if Kyrie injures his knee again this year or gets an injury that keeps him out for a substantial amount of time, that the Knicks should not give him a max contract. I'm very leery of injury-prone players, and I'm very leery of injury-prone players teaming up and getting max deals with the Knicks. The Knicks have not had a good history with that, and I'm sorry. Kyrie is great. If this injury is substantial, if it's significant, I don't think they should give him a max deal. But to the point, that aside, if Kyrie Irving is healthy, you have to get Kyrie Irving. As far as now, what I said about Dennis Smith in that regard, I painted two scenarios. One where Dennis Smith is likely flipped in a trade with a draft pick to get you another top talent, maybe like an Anthony Davis, in addition to your 2 max deals. That could possibly happen. But let's just talk about it in keeping Dennis Smith. Dennis Smith would struggle off the ball. He's still learning how to be an NBA point guard. If Dennis Smith can learn to play off the ball, and what you got to remember too is Kyrie Irving can shoot the basketball flat out. Kyrie Irving can also play off the basketball. Matter of fact, Kyrie Irving won a championship with the most ball-dominant player in the NBA in LeBron James. So Kyrie Irving, I'm not worried about Kyrie Irving dealing with Dennis Smith Jr. in that role when Kyrie Irving shined and starred and won a championship alongside LeBron James playing off the ball. Now, obviously, Kyrie is going to have the ball in his hands way more than Dennis Smith Jr., which is going to force Dennis Smith Jr. to play off the ball more. But hear me out. What I'm saying is the transition, because of the versatility in Kyrie Irving's game. We see it right now with the Celtics. We saw it in Cleveland. When they play switching defense, Kyrie has switched off to shooting guards and small forwards, and even small ball power forwards. And that's not something you want to do all the time, but it happens in the flow of games when you play a switching defense. So I'm just saying, with Kyrie's basketball IQ and his ability and history and experience to play off the ball, Kyrie Irving could make the transition for Dennis Smith Jr. a lot smoother. But Dennis Smith Jr., the onus will fall on him to become a better shooter off the ball, to become more patient off the ball, to become smarter off the ball, to understand how to move off the ball. There's a whole, if you're going to move Dennis Smith to the 2, there's a whole nother skill set he has to learn. And there will be struggle there. With all that said, with Dennis Smith's size and his willingness as a defender, and he's strong, I'm not against it with having him in his rookie deal. I got him for 2 more years in his rookie deal. If I'm not flipping him right away this summer with my draft pick to get Anthony Davis, if I'm not doing that, I'm holding on to Dennis Smith Jr. and I'm trying to see what I can do before I get rid of him, because I have a top talent, a top potential in his rookie deal, and that's hard to come by, especially on a team that might have 2 max all NBA players if the Knicks get their hopes, get their dreams and their wishes. So it would be difficult. Dennis Smith Jr. would definitely struggle because it would be something new. But as far as his size, athleticism, potential, just strength, he has the core things to do it. The question is, can he develop the other skills to make him effective at it and good at it? All right, let's go back to see what some of that, that's why he didn't work with the white goat. And that's a great point, you know, with Luka. But one, and I think you will agree with this, Thorough. Yes, that's part of why he didn't work with the white goat. But we also know Rick Carlisle runs a more structured offense. I mean, I was shocked that Dennis Smith Jr. played his most minutes, and he played his career high in minutes with the Knicks the other day. So, in my opinion, his learning curve with the Knicks is going to be a lot quicker than it was in Dallas, because it's not as structured under Fizdale. Fizdale is going to give him the room to make mistakes and not pull him as quickly. And I don't want to speak out of ignorance, because I obviously didn't watch a whole bunch of Dallas Mavericks games as much as I've watched the Knicks. But from conversations we've had, Thorough, I know that, you know, we agree that he'll be more free in New York. So I'm just saying that part of the problem in Dallas was, yes, he had problems playing off the ball with Luka Doncic, but also his off the ball in Dallas and Carlisle's offense will not be the same in New York in Fizdale's offense, especially with a guy like Kyrie Irving. With all due respect to Luka Doncic, we talking about Kyrie Irving. Red says, I think that Dennis Smith has a better chance at 2 with either one of those players if they come to NYC. He was just here by himself. So his only shot is at the 2 if we get either of those players, right? Now we're speaking all hypothetical here. No one's here wishing for anything, or well, yes we are, but I know we're all talking hypothetical. I just want to make that clear. And to the point, I will throw an interesting tidbit in there. I have said before Kyrie's injury, I did say that if Kyrie wants New York, you get Kyrie. With regards to Kemba Walker, depending on the max free agents I get, I may be willing to stick with Dennis Smith Jr. and see what I got for the next 2 years and roll the dice and not give Kemba a max deal. Let me tell you why I'm not giving Kemba Walker a max deal. You cannot tell me that Kemba Walker has the same value as Kyrie Irving just because I don't have a point guard. And this, now before Dennis Smith Jr., I didn't have this opinion. I'm willing to roll the dice because I think Dennis Smith Jr. will continue to flourish and develop with the Knicks. I think if you add 2 elite players and fill out a roster of good players around him, it'll happen faster. But I do think there's a learning curve for sure. That you don't have a learning curve you don't have with a Kemba Walker. And I'm not disrespecting Kemba Walker, and I'm not saying Dennis Smith Jr. is as good as Kemba Walker. What I am saying is, when you're talking about the max money, the Knicks have the same amount of money they offer Kyrie Irving is the same amount of money they're going to offer Kemba Walker. So you can't tell me Kemba Walker has the same value as Kyrie Irving when I have Dennis Smith Jr. on the team. I'm sorry. Now, if Kemba Walker is taking a little less than the max, which helps me fill out the roster more, deal. I'm not even going to have this conversation, because I don't want it to come across as people have heard me say this, and it's like almost as if I'm trying to say Dennis Smith Jr. is better than Kemba. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if Dennis Smith Jr., the guy that most Knicks fans wanted to draft last year when they drafted Ntilikina, if he's the player I believe he will become, I don't need Kemba Walker. And now that Kyrie has another knee injury, if that knee injury is significant, I don't need him either. Indy says we can't have another Allen Houston era. Man, y'all gonna leave Allen Houston alone, man. I'm an Allen Houston fan. Thorough says Carlisle started working with Dennis off the ball his rookie year. He is a point. Yo, I'm not saying he's not a point. Carlisle did start working with him. But we're not going to ignore that we feel that Carlisle is also part of why he hindered. Like, look at what he's done in his first 3 games with the Knicks. He didn't have that kind of rope in Dallas. I mean, this is the public conversation that's going on. So my point is not that he's not a point. My point is that Fizdale is talking about playing positionless basketball and having guys that can do multiple things. Dennis Smith has the core skill set to do that. The question is, can he develop the other things? Definitely not saying he's not a point, but I'm definitely saying that Carlisle's offense also hinders how he wants to play. Fizdale's offense is a little more opened up, and it will allow us to see a little quicker if he could do that. And what I'm also saying is, because I have Dennis Smith Jr. on his rookie deal for 2 more years, if I sign a top point guard in free agency, and I can't flip, because I also mentioned that I believe you would flip Dennis Smith Jr. at that point, but if you don't flip him, and you're in a scenario where you have Dennis Smith Jr. on your squad with that point guard, I am playing them together. There's not a better player on the team. That's for sure. And Dennis Smith's size and core skill set will allow him to do it. And if it's Kyrie Irving, it's an easier transition. But Carlisle definitely played a more structured offense. So Carlisle's point guard offense was structured. So I'm sure his off-the-ball offense was structured. Reg says, I believe that playing with a player of Kyrie's caliber would help him develop into a good shooting guard. It would, I'll say it again, it would ease the transition, but Dennis Smith would have to Thorough's point of him being a point guard, he would have to develop. We're asking him in 2 years to start working on things that he hasn't had to focus on. So it's only this year, as Thorough stated, Rick Carlisle worked with him in Dallas on that last year, but this year it became a featured thing because there was a guy better than him on the team that took the ball out of his hands. So now Carlisle's like, this is what I was trying to show you last year. And you're not ready to do it in Carlisle's system. To Reg's point, I do think that Kyrie Irving would make the transition a hell of a lot easier because Kyrie Irving would allow a guy like Dennis Smith to get his share of handling the ball. And also, when you look at, when you have two ball, and I'm also focusing on Kyrie's time playing with LeBron, the most ball dominant person in the league. A lot of times, how did they do the offense in Cleveland? In the beginning of the game, the two ball dominant players were on the floor, and in crunch time, they were on the floor. But during the game, a lot of the times, they would be in and out of the game with the second unit. So there's so many ways you could do it and work with it. And Fizdale, coming from the Spoelstra coaching team and the Riley school there in Miami, I think he understands a little bit of what it takes to have these top type of players and figure things out. The question is, Dennis Smith is no Dwayne Wade, right? So Dennis Smith is played the point guard exclusively his whole life. So we would be to make this valid. There's part of this would be Dennis Smith being able to execute what's being asked of him. And that's what would happen. That's what will ultimately make it work. not what he possesses now. What he's good at now, it wouldn't happen. Steve says he regressed this year with Doncic. Yes, he did. Yes and no. And I think we spoke to some of the reasons why. Indy says Knox move. I'm going to get back to the fan post, but this is a good dialogue, so I don't want to cut it short. I'm not in a rush if y'all not. He says Knox moves to the 2. Listen, Knox is not guaranteed to be in the starting lineup. If we improve this roster, like, don't overvalue Knox. Knox is not a guarantee to start when you start talking about this lineup. Dennis Smith Jr. is never going to the bench because Kevin Knox is on the floor. Not the way Kevin Knox looks. Dennis Smith plays like he's Knox's size. Knox plays like he's Spud Webb size sometimes. He's got his move to the basket. That little floater with one hand, that little one-handed flip shot he does, he's got that he's got that down. You could tell he's probably been shooting that since he was 9. He's got that shot down pretty good. But, yeah, Knox is not a, I believe that if Knox is still on the team next year and the summer goes the way we want it to go, Knox will be coming off the bench next year with no pressure to develop. With that said, shout out to Kevin Knox. Played a good game against Kawhi Leonard last night. Let me get to some more of these comments, and then, because it's the fan post, right? We got to deal with the post that I get and the posts that are coming up on these comments. So, Reg says he regressed because he wasn't solidified in his position on the team once Luka got there. Thorough says, thank you, Thorough. I agree. Thorough says, I developed DSJ over signing Kemba. DSJ's ceiling is way higher. I agree. That's from a non-Knick fan, too. That's just that, and that's him speaking as a basketball fan. He is a Dennis Smith Jr. fan, so he might be a little biased. I'm sorry. I agree 100%. If you can't get Kyrie Irving, you stay with Dennis Smith Jr. Indy says, Dennis Smith Jr. might have more potential than Kemba, just off body size. It all depends on who we targeting to play with him. I agree. Yo, his ceiling in his potential growth in his body, his strength, where he's at now at his age. Kemba's a big time scorer, but Kemba can still be streaky. I'm nitpicking. I'm obviously nitpicking. Like, we are not trying to belittle who Kemba Walker is. That's NYC. He's from NYC, so we're not going to disrespect that. But Dennis Smith Jr.'s contract, his value, I'm rolling the dice. And like you said, Indy, who you putting around him? And honestly, if you get any 2 of the max free agents that don't play point guard, I think it's beneficial to Dennis Smith Jr. If you get Kyrie Irving, you're going to mess with Dennis Smith Jr.'s confidence. He didn't, Reg, he didn't say he said he has a higher ceiling. He didn't say he is going to be better than Kemba Walker. He said he has a higher ceiling than Kemba Walker. He never said he was better or gonna be better. He said Dennis Smith Jr.'s ceiling is way higher. And it's true. Dennis Smith Jr.'s ceiling is way higher. He's driving baseline, dunking with 2 hands on Andre Drummond. He's going on fast breaks, 360 and in the garden. Are you kidding me? All of this, your man is looking away, dribbling this way, throwing alley-oops like this to DeAndre Jordan. Like, he's let me go to another fan post real quick. I got a very specific fan post. Thorough, I gotta do this now. Hold up a minute. The pastor got to talk to you because you're not listening to the word. Last night versus this was posted on MSG. yesterday. So Saturday, this was posted, and it was referring to the night before. Dennis Smith Jr., when we're talking about the ceiling of a player, we're not talking about he is going to be better than anyone. We're saying his potential at this point, at 21 years old, his ceiling is higher than Kemba Walker's. When Kemba Walker was Dennis Smith's age, his ceiling was not as high as Dennis Smith Jr.'s. I think that's fair. That is not saying that Dennis Smith Jr. is going to reach his ceiling, and that is not saying that Dennis Smith Jr. is going to be better than Kemba Walker. So let's get to the next fan post. This was my fan post right here. Dennis Smith Jr. versus Detroit, Friday night. 31 points, 8 assists, 2 steals, 11 free throws made, and he shot 60% from the field. Not to mention, he missed 8 or 9 free throws, so he almost had 40 points. So I'm going to read that stat line to you one more time. Dennis Smith Jr., 31 points, 8 assists, 2 steals, 11 free throws made, and shot 60% from the field. Other players with those numbers aged 21 or younger: LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan twice. What they say? What they say? They ain't hear me? They ain't hear me? Say it again. The Lord spoke to me. The Lord said you didn't hear me. The Lord said, say it again, Pastor. Dennis Smith Jr. versus Detroit, 31 points, 8 assists, 2 steals, 11 free throws made, 60% field goal shooting. Only other players with those numbers aged 21 and younger: LeBron James, Magic Johnson, and Michael Jordan twice. Dennis Smith Jr.'s ceiling is higher. He's not a better player right now, but Dennis Smith Jr.'s ceiling is higher. I think that's extremely fair. All right. What we saying here? What we talking about? My people on the live stream are having their own conversations back and forth. They talking about it. Thorough says Kyrie won't concede to Dennis Smith Jr. like he did for the greatest player in his era. Fair enough. Great point. I won't even argue that, Thorough. I won't even argue it. My point was not so much conceding, because I agree. You use the word concede. He will not concede. And if I said that, I apologize, because that's not what I meant to say. I don't think Kyrie will concede. I don't think he needs to concede. I think he could make the transition a hell of a lot easier because of what he's come from. The question is, can Dennis Smith Jr. develop the skills we spoke about? All right, everybody's going back and forth. All right, the people agree. They agree. The people agree with the pastor. They heard me. They heard me. We've reached salvation. Dennis Smith Jr.'s ceiling is high, and I'm willing to work with that. Like, you telling me I'm going to put Dennis, and think about even a guy like KD, who's already played with a Westbrook. Kyrie Irving, who's already played with LeBron James. Who else is available? Klay Thompson, Jimmy Butler. All these guys have played with other people who need the ball in their hands. So all these guys would help the development of a Dennis Smith Jr. And Dennis Smith Jr.'s willingness to play defense and everything he can do with the ball, if he stays healthy on his rookie deal, I'm sorry, there's too much value there. And now, speaking about Kyrie with the knee injury, I'm not messing with Dennis Smith Jr.'s confidence and potential, hoping Kyrie's knee holds up over 4 years. Think about it like this. The max deal will be 4 years, right? 4 years. If Kyrie's hurt for 2 of them, and we have 2 good playoff runs, or we're a playoff team all 4 years, but he's only healthy in 2 of the playoffs, you signing on for that? Because that's the risk you taking when you start talking about Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis. Especially all my wonderful people that have would like to have those two together. I don't think Klay is going anywhere. Hold on. Yeah, I don't think Klay is going anywhere. But I was just making the point of the players that are available that the Knicks could sign in free agency. They all have played with other players that are greater than this young phenom that is currently on the team. So I think it would be fair to say that any of those players that play other positions along with the phenom, I'd rather pair them up than move on from the phenom when he's just getting started. Matter of fact, let's get to another. You know what? We're going to keep it on the Dennis Smith fan post. Dennis Smith Jr., the first player in Knicks history to score more than 60 points and 20 assists in his first 3 games with the team. Like, what we talking about? I don't need Kemba Walker. Not because Kemba's not better, but because this kid on his rookie deal, his potential is crazy and the numbers are showing it. I know y'all not debating, but I'm just excited looking at this as a Knicks fan. Like, I can't wait till tomorrow when they play Cleveland. Win or lose, I'm like, yo, I just want to see him play. Even when he has a bad game, because I want to see how he processes things and how he moves on from those things. But he's the first Knicks player to score more than 60 points and 20 assists in his first 3 games as a Knick. I think there's another one here somewhere about, did I have another one or did I? Oh, here we go. In his first 3 games with the Knicks, he's averaging 21 points, 7 assists, 6.7 assists. I always round up. 21 points, 7 assists, and he's shooting 47% from the field. When's the last time the Knicks were getting numbers like that from the point guard? Do you understand that when you get that kind of threat coming from the point position, how that opens things up? You want to talk about the development of Kevin Knox? You want to talk about the development of Mitchell Robinson? Do you understand how the all that fast forwards, the pace on that increases because of the attention Dennis Smith Jr. will command? No, you need that. Obviously, with Kemba Walker, that helps too. But the fact that you have a young player that can relate to these other young players. We were talking about that too, right? The different era of players. Remember, a guy like KD that's 28, he's even very different from these guys that are 19 and 20. So if you got Dennis Smith Jr., the leader of a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds, and you could sign some all-NBA talent with that, you know, when teams do that, that's when you make those jumps from having 15, 20 wins one season and then being a top 3 team in your conference the next year. That's why that happens, because those young players, those inexperienced players that you were counting on to be your leaders, to develop during the season and do all these things right and process things and get over them, they now become your bench players. They now become the secondary development because you're trying to mesh that first unit. Now you're dealing with all NBA players that these young guys are actually a fan of and look up to. So the respect level is different. The coach's voice becomes louder. Like, oh, hypothetically, oh, KD got love for Fizdale? You know, Trier might listen on a whole different level now seeing that. Actually seeing it. You know, so let's segue over to Mitchell Robinson. We're going to get to some of these other posts. We've been running for almost an hour now. I feel like I haven't even gotten through most of my posts. I'll be trying to keep these things short because, you know, people go through your, they go to your Facebook page. They see an hour and 10 minutes. They're like, oh, hell no. You not Woj. You ain't got nobody famous coming on the show for me to be listening for an hour, you know. But I'm showing the stamina here. I'm showing something to somebody that might hire me at Sirius Radio or somewhere at 4 a.m. So, with the arrival of Dennis Smith Jr., we also got the arrival of DeAndre Jordan, who was not bought out or traded by the Knicks. DeAndre Jordan is instantly become a mentor to Mitchell Robinson. And I didn't realize the mentor he is to Dennis Smith Jr. I seen Dennis Smith Jr. have a moment in the Detroit game the other night, and Fizdale was standing there, and DeAndre walked from the bench over to the coach, and he engaged Dennis Smith. And Fizdale let it happen. He just stood there, he let it happen. And it's funny because though I couldn't tell what DeAndre was saying to Dennis Smith, whatever he was saying, you could see Fizdale agreed with it. And he kind of opened his hands like, yeah, what he's saying. And I appreciated that because as a coach, I can only imagine what that's like to have, a veteran established player be able to come and be an echo of what you're trying to establish. And then this guy already has a rapport with him as a teammate from his previous team. So there's a trust there. And Fizdale is smart enough to allow that trust to continue to grow now with a different franchise. These intelligence, this is the game with these intelligent moves. It's the game within the game. I like what the Knicks are doing. DeAndre Jordan's also a well-known player in circles around the NBA with some of these top talents. He's also the type of player you want at center. You want him to have your back. He's KD's man. Did you read the article about how KD said he's going to be a groomsman in my wedding when I get married? And how did you read the article about how when they was on USA Basketball, how when they won and celebrated with a bunch of young women? Did you read that article? I mean, what are they doing together? He's his boy. You don't think KD is going to call up DeAndre to get the window peek into the organization to go, forget the rest of them. Forget the media. Forget the fans, my bro, my fellow groomsmen. You know how we got down overseas? I know what me and some of my homeboys have done back in the days. I am not that man anymore. I'm an older man. I'm laid back and chill now. I'm just saying, if you imagine KD and DeAndre Jordan on NBA salaries, traveling the globe on Team USA, celebrating a gold medal, I'm just saying. You don't think KD is going to call him and go, what is that organization about? What are they doing? What's really going on? Come on. That's value. That's value. Does it mean you get KD? No, it doesn't. But to DeAndre Jordan and the development, I want to talk about Mitchell Robinson. I put a post up that basically said, Enes Kanter has been more proof that Enes Kanter is you. I'm kind of paraphrasing my own post. More proof that Enes Kanter is useless to the Knicks is in the 3 practices DeAndre Jordan has had with Mitch Robinson. Mitch Robinson has had his 3 best games as a Knick. Mitch Robinson has been practicing against Enes Kanter all season and has not looked better. He's shown the same potential from Summer League all the way through Dennis Smith getting there. I'm sorry, Dennis Smith and DeAndre getting there, but I'm focusing on DeAndre right now. And then all of a sudden, he looks even better. So I posted his numbers from last night against the Raptors. And I made the point about Enes Kanter. Because a lot of people, Enes Kanter, we'll get to that. That's our next point. Because a lot of people were like salty about Enes Kanter not being on the Knicks anymore. And I just don't get it. But, DeAndre Jordan last night had 10 points, 18 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 block in less than 26 minutes. Mitchell Robinson had 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 blocks in less than 23 minutes. The 2 Knicks centers combined for 24 points, over 20 rebounds, and over 3 blocks. And neither of them played more than 26 minutes. And they didn't even play together on the floor. Why do I bring that up? Because when I posted what I posted about Kanter, the two people that decided they wanted to, I'm not even going to talk about what group they came from because I don't want to make their group look bad. But the two people that decided that they wanted to say, no, it's because of Dennis Smith Jr. that Mitch Robinson is playing better because he's getting lobs and alley-oops. And I said, oh, what about defense though? On those posts, I clearly hashtagged development matters and defense is everything, something like that, stating that Cantor is not helpful to the coaching staff in regards to developing the younger talent. So we don't need him, so he's useless. People like, no, Dennis Smith Jr. and the lobs and the alley-oops. Well, if you watch the games, a lot of times Dennis Smith Jr. has been on the bench when Mitch is going off because Mitch runs with the second unit. Mitch has been running more with Kadeem Allen in them than Dennis Smith Jr. Kadeem Allen might have thrown Mitch Robinson more oops in the last 3 games than Dennis Smith Jr. If somebody knows that for a fact, let me know. But I'm going off what I saw. So what I'm saying is Dennis Smith Jr. obviously brings something else to the table for Mitch, and I was a person that said that. The minute we got the trade, first thing I said was Mitch Robinson is going to develop even quicker because of this. But I didn't realize that DeAndre was going to be kept, going to start, and that Mitch Robinson was going to play most of his minutes with the bench squad. And when Mitch Robinson has been integral in some of the comebacks when Dennis Smith has gone to the bench. Also, another point I made, Walt Clyde Frazier has been saying all season during the games that Mitch Robinson can't stay out of foul trouble. All of a sudden, Dennis Smith Jr. arrives. DeAndre Jordan arrives. And Mitch Robinson is not getting in foul trouble. Do you think that's Dennis Smith Jr. in his ear? Or do you think that's DeAndre Jordan, the guy that plays his same position, the guy that Fizdale said he's going to be like a big brother to him, the guy that Mitch Robinson said he's going to be like a big brother to me, the guy that DeAndre Jordan said you can see the similarities and how he could develop? Like, come on. Like, I'm not taking credit away from Dennis Smith Jr. and what he brings, but DeAndre Jordan is a mentor to Mitch Robinson, and his 3 best games as a Knick, 3 in a row at that, have come as soon as Cantor is gone, and now DeAndre Jordan is the dude he's spending time with in practice. When the big men separate from the guards, trust me, Dennis Smith ain't with Mitch Robinson. It's DeAndre Jordan. Let me not alienate my people here. I see some posts. People are tagging in. Let's see what we got here. Man, I'm not even, Thorough, we'll get back to that one later. That's hilarious. Thorough said he had Knick fans arguing with him that Frank was better than Dennis Smith Jr. before Dennis got to the Knicks. I'm not even going to, it wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you that. Thorough said Jordan was doing that with Luka in Dallas. So, see what I'm saying? Thorough just made my point. DeAndre Jordan, this is who he is. This is less about the Knicks players. This is about who DeAndre Jordan is and what he brings to the table. And what he brings to the table is development for these players. And it just so happens the Knicks have a young player that can do a lot of similar things to DeAndre. And if his potential is what I think it is, he probably can do a lot more than DeAndre when it's all said and done. But we'll see. Okay. Let's get to the next post so we can start wrapping this up soon. We already over an hour. Let's see. So, from Knicks fans together, it's Knicks fans together, we bleed orange and blue. They have like a really long name. But if you type in Knicks fans together, that group will pop up and you'll see the rest of it. And so shout out to them. Dwayne Hubbard from that group says, Dennis Smith Jr. is the best young point guard we've had since Mark Jackson and Rod Strickland. Easy. Shout out to my brother ED. I got ED here on the sideline with me. He said Marbury was nice too. Yes, but Marbury, that era flamed out. It's just unfortunate. It wasn't all his fault, but that Marbury era kind of flamed out. But I will say yes, with regards to Mark Jackson and Rod Strickland, we'll do an honorable mention to Marbury because we know Marbury was nice. Just the New York Knicks thing just didn't work out. Red says he agrees. Thorough says Jordan is taking the biggest bag in the offseason, though. This will be his last big contract. I'm glad you brought that up. That's great. So we're going to a live fan post now. I may not get to all my fan posts out of here. I might have to save some of these or just concede. Like Kyrie won't do, Thorough. With regards to Jordan and the free agent situation, so I agree I agree. I think that I don't think he would go to a bad team, though, for the biggest money. I don't see that. I don't think he would want to finish his career. Let's even say a good young team, right? I don't know if this team has the cap room or anything, but I don't think, like 31 or 32, something like that. I don't think that he would go, say, finish his career with the Sacramento Kings, right? A young team that might be something in a couple years. Because when I be watching them on League Pass, it be looking entertaining, and they will need to upgrade at center. I don't know if they have free agent money. I don't think the Nets have free agent money, but they got the young dude, my man that looks straight out of 1970s black exploitation film. What's his name? Jared Allen. That's my man. He got the greatest fro since 1974. Yeah, I don't see him going there. But my point is, to your point, Thorough, about DeAndre taking the biggest bag available, the Knicks can offer DeAndre Jordan the mid-level exception. Because of his stature, the mid-level, I don't know the details, so y'all have to read this up on his own. But because of where he is as a veteran and how the mid-level works for where he is as a veteran, that mid-level, if I'm not mistaken, is like a 4 or 5 year deal worth $70 million. Would DeAndre take that to be the starting center with Mitch Robinson for the next 4 years? He's probably not going to start for the whole 4 years. Mitch will probably take over in 2. With DeAndre developing him, he'll develop a lot sooner. And now we're talking about playing with KD, though. The Knicks might say, we can't offer you the most. We can give you 4 years, $70 million, but that's next to KD and Anthony Davis. That's next to KD and Jimmy Butler. That's next to Kawhi Leonard and somebody. So I'm just saying, I think the Knicks may not be able to have the same amount of money as a team like maybe the Clippers, and he might want to finish his career with the Clippers, who also have money to sign someone. But if the Knicks do use all their cap room, they can offer him the mid-level, as I think all the teams with cap space can. So to play with KD, I think we have a shot. Let's get to the next post. Let's see. Random. So Kyrie Walker from the Knicks clique says, we have a team full of shoot-first players. Nobody on the team creates easy shots for open players. Everything is ISO and shoot. DSJ is not very good running the pick and roll. Knox has an awful shot selection. All right. Let's just break this down a little bit. Slow it down, way down. We do have a team of shoot-first players. We also have a bunch of young players that are learning and to develop. So, as we were talking about in the beginning, I don't want to take a fan's ability to assess his team away from him or her. You get to do that. But let's add some context to that when we make these statements. To say Dennis Smith Jr. doesn't create easy shots for open players, I don't think you've been watching the game. Well, I mean, we just said a stat line. He's the first Knicks player to ever have 60 points and 20 assists in his first 3 games. On a team of shoot-first players. So he's found a way to get 20 assists in 3 games. And in one of those games, he only played about 20-something minutes because he got in foul trouble right away. That was the first game he played with no practice and still got 6 assists. So on a team of shoot-first players, Dennis Smith Jr. is finding a way to pile up assists. That shows you right there he's getting players easier shots. The question is, can the Knicks continue to knock him down? Kevin Knox does have an awful shot selection, but, Kevin Knox, we can argue Kevin Knox should still be in college. Kevin Knox is averaging double figures. I think he's averaging in the month of December when he won NBA Rookie of the Month in December, Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month in December. He was averaging over 12 points a game. There's grown men that are 30 that can't average 12 points in the NBA. This kid's body is not developed yet. His legs, he's not even as strong. He looks like, when you look, his T-shirts, the arms still be baggy on them. Everybody else be mad, brolic looking and all that. And this dude still looks like a boy. His personality is still developing. He's really like a boy. Like, he probably plays PlayStation. He probably be chilling with his fellas, listening to the music. And, he looks like a kid to me. But then he's out there with a 7-foot wingspan, with a move that looks like he shouldn't be able to score on it. But all of a sudden, he's drawing more fouls. Every game, he's drawing more fouls. So we could talk about some of the good things, too. Yes, his shot selection is awful, but every time he goes to the hole, more often than not, he's getting the whistle blown in his favor. So that means he's realized something and he's working on it. Because that wasn't the case in the beginning of the season. That little flip shot he does, it reminds me of Shawn Marion. But it's legit. It's a legit flip shot. And he's shooting it from the baseline. He's shooting it from in front of the rim. He's shooting it from different angles. That's a plus. And last night against Kawhi Leonard, he had one of his best games in a month. He had a good shot selection last night. Thank you, ED. So I can't just focus on the negative of Kevin Knox. I got to focus on the positives as well. Thorough says Dennis Smith Jr. has those Westbrook assists. He doesn't have those Luka, Chris Paul type assists. That's a great point. And Westbrook is averaging 10. He's leading the league in assists. Right? So I'll take that. He don't do the Chris Paul, Luka type of assists. But Chris Paul and Luka ain't coming through and throwing it on DeAndre Jordan. Luka might. But we ain't disrespecting Luka and Chris Paul. We just talking about the ceiling of Dennis Smith Jr. Steve Indy says he gets a whistle. He hits free throws. He just got to play big consistency with Kevin Knox. I agree. And that's why if I give you my assessment of his game, it's just what I'm seeing as a fan. But he gets the rookie season. What he did in Summer League wasn't a fluke. He showed me that when dudes on his level, he could dominate them. But he's not ready to dominate the men yet. But he's finding his way. And when he plays with a guy that can draw people to him, he's going to be better at it. He's shuffling his feet when he dribbles. He's not quick. He's a finesse player, too. That's the other thing. Sometimes, Kevin Knox does sometimes play with a low motor, but don't confuse low motor with finesse also. Because I think sometimes people see finesse players, they be like, oh, he don't go as hard. A lot of people felt that way about Allen Houston. Paul George is ED mentioned Paul George. Paul George is a good example of a guy that plays finesse, but you done seen him yam it on people. He plays it both. He's extremely smooth, but he got that dog, All right, let's wrap some of these up. Let's see what I got here. What else we got? Let's find another one. Patricia Hall. Patricia Hall is from New York Knicks Nation. She's from the group New York Knicks Nation. This is her response to my post on Cantor DJ being a better mentor for Mitch. She says, because the ladies drop posts too. The ladies are Knicks fans too. So don't play games. DJ Six is clearly a better mentor for Mitch Robinson. However, see, this is where people get me started. Don't be agreeing with me, then say however. However, Cantor was not useless to us. If I had a haircut, I would throw my hat on the floor right now. She says Cantor was not useless to us. He just didn't fit into our rebuilding plan. How people start making my point with their own posts. Okay, we need to define useless. I think that's what we need to do. I think sometimes people hear useless and they see it as you're bashing somebody. But useless means I don't have any use for you. If I say it like this, you know, I really just don't have use with the skill set you bring to my dynamic. People accept that. When you say, yo, you're useless to what I do, people are like, nah, that's mean. Both of those things said the same thing. I'm sorry. I don't get into too much of it. It's how you say it. Sometimes people are having a bad day. You better get the message. Forget the tone. You're getting the tone, but you're not getting the message. But anyway, let's get back to Patricia Hall and her post. We want to keep reading it. So I'm going to start it over. I'm going to read straight through. No interruptions. DJ Six is clearly a better mentor for Mitch Robinson. However, Cantor was not useless to us. He just didn't fit into our rebuilding plan. We have the right fit right now because his salary is too high to be traded, talking about Cantor. I hope that he will stay with us, talking about DJ, and he's making the most out of being a Knick. I am loving it. New York Knicks for life. So I hope I read that correctly. So the reason why Cantor was useless, so when you say Cantor doesn't fit, if I got a puzzle and I got a piece that don't fit and I'm missing pieces, that piece is useless to me because it doesn't fit my puzzle. In addition, where Cantor's skill set also did not allow him to be useful to the Knicks because Cantor could not help develop DeAndre Jordan. He didn't bring any, look at his blocks per game. He didn't develop DeAndre Jordan. He was with him all season. He was trying to compete with, I'm sorry, not DeAndre Jordan. All these DS, DJ, I'm all over the place. Mitch Robinson. Ennis Cantor was competing with Mitchell Robinson. He was not helping to develop Mitchell Robinson. The coaching staff and front office said from the beginning, this is the year of development, not wins and losses. We will play hard. We will try to infuse a winning culture, but we also are going to take the time to coach and develop these guys. Ennis Cantor wanted to be an all-star in his contract year so he can get a big deal this summer. And I'm not mad at him for that. But that in itself made him useless to the Knicks. We're going to end it on this one, and then I'm going to go to and see if any of y'all posted anything here, because I want to respect the people that are here with me. I don't want to just ignore them. Kevin Jinho. I'm sorry, y'all. So this was I didn't get the group here because this was a person commenting on a comment. So I usually have the group up top, so my bad. I got to do a better job of listing it. I will improve that. See, I'll do it live. I critique myself live. I tell you I wasn't good enough. I wasn't in the game. I didn't have enough dribble moves. That's Frank Ntilikina. He got to work on that. I got to work on my list. The difference is I ain't got millions of people in New York watching me. Hope to one day. Kevin Jinho says, the Knicks better not do anything stupid and give up our picks and our young assets to get AD this offseason. All right. When we talk about Anthony Davis, let's not lose sight of who Anthony Davis is. Anthony Davis is 26 years old. So, number one, Anthony Davis is injury prone. Number two, Anthony Davis is an all-NBA player, possibly the top 3, top 7 player in the NBA, depending on what you like. Anthony Davis is all-world NBA talent, and he's 26 years old, so that means he would be 27 next season. So he's as young as Cantor that many Knicks fans wanted to keep, and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Trey Burke. He fits in that. I'm giving you that so you could see where Anthony Davis is, the players that are in his age group that were on our team. Trey Burke, Ennis Cantor, Tim Hardaway. Those are the players in the same age bracket as Anthony Davis right now. The Knicks' young players and assets. I'm not going to talk about the draft pick because the Knicks got two. The Knicks have seven, count them. They have 7 first-round draft picks in 5 years, 2 of them from Dallas. 2 of those picks, if they offer first-round picks, they're offering the 2 from Dallas automatically. So if you offer the 2 from Dallas, you still have all 5 of your first-round picks. You might give up one of those for AD. Like, we're not going to disrespect AD's talent. How does a Knicks fan say you're not going to give up your young assets to get AD? When you talking about giving up those assets in addition to pairing him with 2 max players. Because the fact that you're trading for AD with guys that are already on the roster and draft picks means that you will be pairing AD with all NBA talent, giving you possibly 3 of the top 10 players in the NBA on your squad. Those young talent, those young assets you're talking about not trading, let's see who they are. Mitch Robinson, Alonzo Trier, Frank Ntilikina, maybe Damian Dotson, and Dennis Smith Jr. Dennis Smith Jr. is the only one out of that group that I'm even feeling a way about that he's in that deal. He's the only one. And if he's in that deal, that's because you've just signed Kyrie Irving or Kemba Walker. So I'm going to get over that pretty quick, right? Those other players, now attaching this year's draft pick. Now let's talk about that. If you want to make this more interesting, let's say the Knicks secure the first or second pick in the first round of this year's NBA draft. If you pull that off, package that with those players, okay, RJ Barrett, Zion never play a game in the Garden. They're with the Pelicans. But now you might have kept Dennis Smith Jr., but you got rid of Mitch Robinson and all those other guys. No, I'm absolutely getting those guys for AD. If AD wants to, that's what I'm saying. I take AD over anybody in the draft. Thank you, Thorough. I'm taking AD over anybody in the draft, including Zion. Like, let's not get crazy. The fact that Zion, Scottie Pippen said Zion is probably the greatest recruit coming out of college since Michael Jordan. That's speaking to potential. But if that gets you a 26-year-old Anthony Davis, not a 32 or 31 or 30 or 29 or 28, but a 26, 27-year-old Anthony Davis and pairing him up with the type of players we've been talking about, and maybe even still keeping Dennis Smith Jr. because you secured the number 1 pick and you can give the Pelicans Zion Williamson. And let me tell you something. If you give them this year's pick, you're not going to have to give them as many later picks. And you're not going to have to give them as many assets. Mitch is out of here. Kevin Knox is out of here. Trier's out of here. Frank Ntilikina's out of here. All those players in this year's draft pick can get me Anthony Davis. I'm taking that. And if I have to throw Dennis Smith Jr. in there, I'm taking that as well because, like we said, we probably just signed a top free agent at the point guard anyway. So we getting close to wrapping up. It's 1:54. I'm going to just go ahead and end this at 2. We're going to aim for 2 o'clock. And I'm not going to do any more of my post here on my phone that I saved. Let me see what everyone wants to. Indy says it's a good point. As I stated, Thorough says he'd take AD over anyone in the draft. Indy says AD can't be a rental and everybody is up. I agree. That's it. We ending it on that note right there. We are, and look, you see how dope this is? We done went through all the conversations and all the machinations and whatever. I don't care if I didn't say that right or right. See, I don't care. We can mess up. We can have fun. We can do all that. We don't went through everything, but we ended it on something we all agree on. That is beautiful. That is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We don't have to agree, but we do. So, shout out to all my people. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. All my people at the Green of Thrones, NYC Sports. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, GoGoGadget Green. GoGoGadget Green. All my people that are subscribed to GoGoGadget Green, I hope you enjoyed the fan post episode 3. It's been our longest show. I'll try to keep it shorter next time. But the people were engaged. They were with me. I got guests in the house. Shout out to my man ED, who is in the house with me. Shout out to Indy, Thorough, Reg, Bomani, Thyru, Bernard, Candace. I know I left somebody out. I know I missed somebody. You know, everybody that checked in today, man, I appreciate all of you. I see you during the week. Olivia, that's my auntie. Have to go through the list. You got to give thanks to the people. You know, they took a minute to come and chill with me. I got to show them some love. So, yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Come and join the Facebook group. Shout out to all the Knicks groups and all the people that posted, because that's why we're the fan posts. Your posts literally feed the machine. As long as fans post, I could do this show forever, because fans have something to say, and clearly we like talking about it, and this is going to be a very interesting offseason. So, Go Green, your host. GoGoGadget Green on YouTube. The Green of Thrones NYC Sports on Facebook. I'm Go Green, and we out. Peace.